What's up, everyone? It's yours truly, Dylan Shields, your host of WrestleMan with the podcast. And WrestleMania weekend has come to an end, and I am here to give you my full WrestleMania 41 thoughts and review, as well as the Raw After WrestleMania, because as of this recording, it is Wednesday afternoon. So we just gotten through, and it was also one of the better Raw After WrestleManias in recent memory, at least in my mind. And you will get, again, like I said, get my full thoughts on WrestleMania 41. This will be a shorter video. We will have a full podcast coming out later next week, and we will have your favorite guest, my favorite guest, yes, the one Matthew Warmus, who did ultimately win predictions for WrestleMania 41. He will come to join me, and as well, there could be a possible appearance by Troy, two of the most common guests. Troy might possibly just have a video of his short review and his thoughts on WrestleMania because he's usually busy on the weekends. But yeah, expect a full type of podcast review next week. But this is the shorter video. I just wanted to get it out there while people are still reflecting. I wanted to give some time to give my personal thoughts and take everything into consideration and not just immediately go off of emotion and react right after WrestleMania. We'll start with the night one opener of Jey Uso and Gunther for the world title. I feel like this is a good match. It really didn't exceed to great expectations, but it's about what you expect from a match like Jey versus Gunther. The ending of the match, when Jey was using all of Gunther's moves against him, and Gunther ended up losing, and Jey ended up tapping Gunther out to win the world title. And Gunther tapped quickly too. Was kind of an out of nowhere finish. It was definitely the right call. You have to pull the trigger while it's hot and give Jey this world title. I know he's very polarizing. The IWC has a way different opinion compared to the live crowd. But like I said, a wonderful moment for Jey to win the world title, and Jimmy being there for him was amazing. And going into the Raw After WrestleMania, Sami Zayn joined along with the party of celebrating with Jey. Just a wonderful moment, well deserved after all these years. Even Roman Reigns gave Jey his props too. You gotta love it. Sami kind of teased a little bit that he might backstab Jey. I feel like it's going to be a little bit of a long-term story. I could see down the summer a Jey-Sami world title match and possibly Sami taking the belt off him. I've said for a while that this could become a heck of a rivalry, but I'm excited for Jey's world title run. I'm more in favor of Jey than a lot of people, like I said, in the internet. And Gunther got his heat right back because he went right after Michael Cole and Bad McAfee. And it's kind of been brewing for a little bit of Gunther kind of not appreciating what McAfee and Cole had to say about Gunther and the way he treated Jey and the fans. And it came to fruition on the Raw After Mania. That was insane. They were chanting F you Gunther to the crowd. It was incredible moment. But that's a good way to get Gunther's heat back. And it seems like we're going to get McAfee in the ring, possibly for Backlash versus Gunther. But I'm happy we did that for him to establish him as one of the bigger heels in wrestling. And like I said, Jey Gunther, I said good, not great, but the moment itself outweighs the match, and it was the right outcome in my book. WWE had a very weird PR week with Triple H kind of going after the internet type of fans, or John Cena claiming no matter the allegations that he still loves Vince, or Roman Reigns, for some reason, openly admitting that he's a Trump supporter. Just a very weird week for WWE PR. Next up, we got the New Day versus the War Raiders for the World Tag Team titles. The New Day won. No Big E interference or anything like that. Just a straight up match. I feel like it was a good match. And the New Day definitely needed these titles to really get their heel character going a little bit. They've kind of stagnated a little bit in terms of character growth and still maintaining that heat. I feel like we've done that here with the New Day, and sky's the limit. I hope they have some good tag teams to face, because the Raw tag team scene's a little bit lacking compared to the SmackDown tag team title scene. At least it was the right winners, but it's one of the matches I kind of just didn't have the most investment in that much. Third match of Saturday, we had Jade Cargill defeating Naomi, and the feud heading into it, I think, was really strong, and it's the first ever WrestleMania one-on-one women's match, so props to them. I'm proud of WWE for finally doing that. I feel like that was long overdue. The match itself, to me, my personal opinion, a little bit underwhelming for how intense their feud was. They didn't have a lot of time either. It was less than 10 minutes. I like the finish of Jade Cargill showing off her strength with some of her power moves. And I feel like Cargill, I would say, is the right winner. I feel like she kind of needs this to get her momentum winning, but I hope we can still capitalize off this Naomi heel turn. I don't want them to leave her to the dust for her to maybe just be in the mid card where she's been. I feel like this is still a main event type of heel. I feel like maybe the feud's not exactly over. Maybe we can incorporate Bianca back into this rivalry. But yeah, I would say it was a decent match, but I feel like for the feud that they had, it could have been better, but they didn't have a lot of time. All right, everyone, time to pray. I love you, Solo. Fatu is your new United States champion over LA Knight, and one of the more shockingly really good quality matches of the weekend. They delivered big time. That counter from the moonsault into the BFT was that near fall was absolutely incredible. Fatu and Knight just have good chemistry, and both of them are extremely over. Fatu, he's just so organically over with the crowd. People love him. He's just a badass that can pull off all types of tricks, and guys his size shouldn't be able to move like that. Yeah, I'm so excited to see him as a U.S. champion. Feel like we might get that solo feud soon down the line, possibly for the U.S. title and the betrayal. Honestly, Fatu's the only reason to me that this Bloodline 2.0 is anywhere near interesting. Like Solo, he just hasn't been booked strong. He's kind of been demoted ever since the Netflix match with Roman. And the Tongans, I like Tama Tonga. Who doesn't like to go, yeah. But Tongaloa is only famous on the internet for screwing up on a lot of moves and isn't the best coordinated in the ring. Fatu's the only guy it seems like WWE's really investing in now with the Bloodline, which he's the right guy to do it, and I'm happy he's the U.S. champion. I think eventually we need to officially have Fatu be kind of like this badass baby face, and sky's the limit for him. If we could get him versus Braun Breaker within the next few years, give me my damn money. All right, we had not Chad Gable, El Grande Americano. Poor Chad Gable did not get a WrestleMania match. I mean, that is complete BS. This is 2 years in a row he should have been on Mania, and he never was. And just what a disservice. Next year, I promise you Gable will be on the card. Rey Mysterio on the SmackDown before WrestleMania got injured in a 6-man tag team match. I don't know why you're having wrestlers wrestle the night before they have to go in the ring at WrestleMania. I don't know what Hunter was thinking there, but I think it turned to be a little bit of a blessing in disguise because Rey Fenix took his place, and I'm so happy for him that he got on the WrestleMania card, even if it was by not good circumstances. I saw a video of Penta after their match getting emotional for him, so good for the Lucha Brothers to be on WrestleMania in the same year that they debut. That's such a good moment for them. This match, I mean, it was good. It was quick. It wasn't long. It wasn't really expected to be long. And I like that El Grande Americano won. I like that the owner of AAA before the match, too, attacked El Grande. I feel like the payoff for this, because I believe they announced kind of like a crossover show with AAA and WWE. You feel like there's going to be a payoff around that show of El Grande finally getting his comeuppance en masse, but I think you got to keep this going because his comedy is just gold. He had a great package on the Raw after WrestleMania. It was a good match, but again, nothing memorable. And I feel like that was the theme of night one. It was like decent quality in terms of matches, but not a lot of moments that you'll remember that much. Well, in the messiest rivalry that we've gotten recently, Tiffany Stratton and Charlotte Flair. And in one of the shockers of the weekend, especially to me, Tiffany Stratton retained over Charlotte Flair. You usually never bet against Charlotte, especially at WrestleMania. But man, my man Matthew Warmus called it, and I know he's going to be bragging about it on this future podcast. I love Tiffany's entrance with the Barbie dolls. It was amazing. And her being in the Barbie box. I think that was one of the better entrances of WrestleMania weekend, and it was a good back and forth. I liked it better than a lot of people did. My analysis here is the crowd on night one was not as good as night two, and that was kind of the same last year too. I feel like the night one crowd was a lot more quiet than night two, And for Tiffany Charlotte, I feel like that was the case. The crowd was, I wouldn't say bored by it, but they weren't that invested. There were some good near falls and good back and forths. But the finish kind of came out of nowhere because Tiffany kind of just hit her finisher and won. And you felt like there was a little bit more to go in that match. This is one of the matches where I am happy to be wrong, and I'm happy Tiffany got a strong, clean win. I don't think the feud's over, unfortunately, though. I feel like eventually Charlotte's going to beat her for that title at some point. I'm not so excited about this feud possibly continuing because of the trajectory of it and just because of all the controversy, but I definitely 100% think it was the right winner with Tiffany retaining. But again, just a little bit underwhelming. We consider this a dream match back in January, and the fact that it kind of just didn't live up to the hype's a little bit underwhelming to me. But it's main event time, and this 100% saved the show on night one by a mile and proved that they belonged in the main event. Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns, CM Punk. The entrances were incredible. Seth lit the fire. A little bit of an awkward moment with the lights going black, and then he reveals his outfit to be all white. Man, he really is CrossFit Jesus. But still a great entrance. Roman Reigns came out by himself and really didn't have any special entrance, just came out to his theme. I will say, great stage, a really good stage for WrestleMania. I love the buildings of Vegas. I love as you go down the ramp, you see the cards and you see the different wrestlers, and specifically in Roman's entrance, such a beautiful moment of showing all the members of the bloodline of current and past elders. That was amazing to see. And I love too, people didn't catch this from certain angles, but above the ring, it kind of showed a circle, but it actually represented poker chips. Oh, everything was kind of LED staged, but I feel like it was very well done. I feel like it was a much better stage than last year, and I feel like it's on par with some of these stages. I just wish WWE would do this for every pay-per-view, at least the big four, not just WrestleMania. I think CM Punk's entrance was the best all weekend. I am a sucker for live band performances and Living Colors Cult of Personality. I loved it back in 2013 when he came out with it with Paul Heyman. And guess what? The same thing happened, and it was amazing. I loved, too, the video package beforehand. And it just felt like a celebration and a thank you to Punk and his career. You got to hear This Fire Burns, a very underrated theme for CM Punk, his first theme, and just all the famous quotes he used to say back in the day. I'm just so happy for him and a great moment. Say what you will about what he's done recently, especially in AEW and his recent behavior, but you cannot say in terms of wrestling ability that he doesn't deserve this main event, because he 100% does. And the entrance was just amazing. And it had to feel good, too, that Heyman was with them. Everything that they've been through ever since 2006 in OVW up till now, it had to be such a cathartic moment for Punk and Heyman to come out together, and it was amazing. And the match started off slow and plodding, as usually main event matches, especially Roman Reigns matches, do. I loved, too, when Roman was taking off the Uafala. He just put it down, and poor Heyman, man. His facial expressions. First of all, that man got a tan like no other, so good for you, man. But also, just the facials that Heyman has is gold. I am a sucker for storytelling like this, and just the small details on the faces of guys like Roman, Heyman, and Punk and Seth were just incredible. But these three delivered on a new level. When the match really got going, too, some of the near falls were amazing. One of my favorite spots of the whole match was all three of them hitting their finishers like in like a domino effect. That was so amazing. The other cool moment of the match was when Seth wanted Roman to team up with him and go for a shield bob through the table, and Roman's conflicted. It looks like he's gonna do it, but wham! Slaps Seth right in the face and power bombs both of them through the table. And a spear to Seth, but another near fall. You got to talk about that ending, because Heyman, it looked like he was going to side with Punk. He chose to slide over the chair to Punk instead of Roman. But then Heyman low blows CM Punk, and Roman Reigns is ecstatic about it. He is laughing. He is smiling. And it looks like Roman's going to get payback on Seth. He's going to hit him in the back with the chair, just like the Shield days. And Heyman points it out. Just as he's about to pull the trigger, bam, a low blow, by Paul Heyman. A little bit weird, too, the way he did the low blow, because he was kind of like moving his fist a little bit, too. A little bit sus there, Heyman. Predictable? Yes. I called this. Troy called this. A lot of people called this happening. But predictable doesn't mean bad. Predictable can be good. And I feel like this was done correctly. And I feel like this was done very well. And I love that everything that Cody said back in 2023 to Roman all ties in. It's a full circle moment for Roman. Now he's a Roman with no more reigns. He's a chief without a tribe, and his wise man and the rest of the bloodline are gone. And the Raw after WrestleMania. What a moment this was. First of all, I did not think Roman was going to be there. Roman usually takes an absence after WrestleMania till around SummerSlam season, but nope, he's shown up. I love that Roman didn't even hesitate to attack Heyman. He just Superman punched his ass. Guess what? We got a new Paul Heyman guy, and his name is Braun frickin' Breaker. This was amazing. This was 100% the right call. I think a lot of people saw it coming for a while. Another full circle moment, I believe, in NXT a couple years ago. Breaker and Heyman had a conversation backstage. So it ties all in, but I think this is a perfect new addition for this new faction. But I think Breaker's the perfect Heyman guy. And Seth winning this match too, I feel like he needed it the most out of the three of them. And Seth's character is over, and he's an accomplished guy. But I feel like he really needed something new to really elevate him to like main event status. Get up there with like the Punks and Romans and Cody type of over and status in the company. Yeah, I feel like him getting his first ever main event win was well deserved and a wonderful moment. And Breaker being with the stable is going to do wonders for his career. And I am happy that after he lost the Intercontinental title, we are strapping the rocket to Breaker. Expect him to win a world title pretty soon within the next couple of years. I will not be shocked at all, especially after what we saw on the Raw after WrestleMania. And Punk and Roman after WrestleMania and after Raw itself looking dejected and maybe realizing that they have to team together to beat this new stable. A tag match at Backlash, I think, would be a tremendous story. And apparently Roman and Seth are going to be feuding within the next year. I don't mind that one bit. I want these three and plus Breaker to feud forever. Do it in any type of match. I am so excited. This might be the storyline I am the most excited about in WWE by far. On to night 2 of WrestleMania Sunday, and I feel like the crowd was much more amped, and this felt like a much better WrestleMania crowd than Saturday's edition of the show. And it kicked off with what I think is the best match of WrestleMania weekend. It's close. I think both triple threat matches were the strongest things on the weekend. But if we're going to go match quality-wise, I think the women's delivered. And I remember CM Punk saying if he was Triple H, he'd put these three in the main event. And I think Punk was damn right, man. Maybe we should have swapped this with Cody Cena, because considering what we saw out of that, and we'll get to that in a bit. This match wasn't even too long, but it was just fast-paced from the start, and it was just physical, and some of the spots were just amazing. And some things were like tough to watch, but like in a good way. And some of the near falls, like these three got tremendous chemistry. But Bianca got booed as she has throughout this build. I still think we're teasing that heel turn. We didn't get it here, but I feel like we're getting it pretty soon down the line. While Rhea and Io are very over amongst the Vegas crowd. And the Vegas crowd was a little bit weird in terms of the heels and babyface dynamic and who they liked and who they didn't. But like I said, this match, go back and watch it along with the main event of night 1 because it just hit. It was so good. And I think it was the right winner. Got it right with Io Sky retaining, pinning Bianca Belair when it looked like she had Rhea Ripley and Io came out of nowhere. Not the first time we'll see that finish on this Sunday edition of WrestleMania. It's just a great match, the right winner, and Stephanie Vakir coming to confront Io, and they have a match, and a couple of other NXT women show up. The future's bright in the women's division. It just is. And I feel like if we could finally give them some actual story, I feel like the sky's the limit in terms of the title scene. Match of the weekend, great match, correct winner. Everything was perfect. On to the Sin City Street Fight. That was just a no disqualification match at best. Drew McIntyre and Damian Priest. Damian Priest coming out to Slayer. Again, if you're a sucker for metal. Slayer Not my personal cup of tea, but if you do like Slayer, it was a heck of an entrance, and I definitely enjoyed it. And McIntyre's gear, too, was awesome. While the title of Sin City Street Fight was just nothing but a street fight, we didn't get any Vegas type of weapons. I still think this match delivered in such a way. Some brutal spots. Priest trying to do the sort of like an Undertaker last ride, but getting pushed through the table. The Claymore at the end with Priest's head between the chairs. Priest doing like a one-arm choke slam while he's like wrapped around a chair. Just brutal stuff. They love to put Drew McIntyre in these brutal type of matches. Sometimes I feel bad for him for it. Drew gets the win, and I feel like, again, the right decision for Drew to win. His heel character needs some momentum. And while a lot of people, including me, were originally disappointed that this was what they had for Drew, I think they made the best out of it. And I feel like the feud really delivered, but I feel like it's time to move on for both men. Drew McIntyre could also be in the WWE or world title picture come very soon. We got the Fatal 4-Way IC title match where Vegas's favorite somehow, Dominic Mysterio versus Broad Breakker, Finn Balor, and Penta. Everybody loved Dominic, and Broad Breakker and Penta were also very over with Vegas. And then there was Finn Balor. He was just kind of there. And I feel bad for him. He kind of seems to be the odd man out of this match. But still, it was very good. Kind of what you expect out of these Fatal 4-Ways. Not too long, but very fast-paced and just fun action throughout the beginning. I feel like all four of them did a tremendous job of making everyone look good. Specifically, the spear that when Carlito tried to get involved, that Breaker gave them, and Pat McAfee was just losing it on commentary. And those tables are not as dense and not as weak. They are much stronger tables, these new tables. So that probably hurts to get put through it. So props to Breaker and Carlito for going through that. But like I said, similar to the women's triple threat match, a similar finish where it looks like Finn Balor hasn't won, but Dominic Mysterio with the splash. And in the biggest pop of WrestleMania weekend, by a mile, Dominic Mysterio is your Intercontinental Champion. Oh my God, that pop. That got a louder reaction than some of the world title and main event matches. Vegas is on drugs. And I'm not just saying that from the casinos. I'm saying that from this crowd. What a moment. What a moment for Dom. I feel like a lot of people predicted this. I thought they would strike Penta and give him the belt. But I think a lot of people saw this coming of Dominic betraying Finn and pinning him. They're together still for now, but I feel like down the line, I feel like now with this reaction Dominic is getting, I feel like we need to have Liv and Finn turn on Dominic rather than the other way around and really cement Dominic as one of the top faces WWE has, because after that reaction, how could you deny it at this point? I would have never expected Dom to get a reaction like this winning the title, but I think that is proof that the boos that man has gotten ever since he turned heel a couple years ago, I think we're out of love. I think it wasn't like a Logan Paul type of heat where people just don't flat out want to see him. I think this is heel heat out of love for his character and his character development that he's had throughout his career. But I think people deep down love him and respect him, and it definitely shows here. 100% deserved. So, who's Randy Orton's opponent going to be? Well, say his name, and he appears. Yes, the TNA World Champion is on a WrestleMania stage. Joe Hendry is at WrestleMania, and I am pissed that I couldn't watch WrestleMania with Matt and Ian. Diehard Joe Hendry fans, as am I, and I would have paid to see their reaction when it was Joe Hendry on a WrestleMania stage. For what that man's gone through his whole career to have this. What a moment for him. Randy Orton's reaction of him going, all right, I dig this, was amazing. Apparently, Orton handpicked Hendry to be his opponent. And if that's the case, props to Orton for seeing talent, and good for him. Now, the match didn't last too long. Hendry got a few wicks in, but the shot of Hendry turning around smiling into the RKO was just peak video production gold right there. And I understand the criticism of the TNA champion losing in 3 minutes, but I think this was more about the moment than the match. 100%. I think this was more about a shocking moment at WrestleMania. Orton was never going to lose, no matter who it was. I do think Triple H sometimes wants to stick it to TNA. He kind of has a little bit of a McMahon in him. You could see it in the interviews sometimes. That stuff really doesn't matter to me. The fact that a TNA World Champion is at WrestleMania and got the spotlight against a legend like Orton speaks volumes. And I think this TNA WWE partnership, while it's not perfect, I think this is proof that it's going pretty well. So this is when the show, to me, takes kind of a little bit of a dip. We get to Logan versus AJ Styles. And it wasn't a bad match per se, but the crowd could not give two shits about this because I feel like they're kind of getting a little bit tired of Logan Paul. And as much as people respect AJ Styles, he's got more dates behind him than ahead of him. He has said that he wants to retire by 50 and the man's 48. And he's not being really presented as like a world championship contender. But I just think it was very forgettable. In a WrestleMania, especially Sunday, with a lot of moments, there really wasn't a lot of moments in this match that were memorable. The only memorable part was the ending. Karrion Kross gets involved. Even if he can't have a match, I'm really happy at least he's at WrestleMania. And he tried to get Styles to hit him with the brass knuckles. He wouldn't, and Logan Paul took advantage for the pulverizer, which I think is one of the best finishers in WWE. Props to Logan Paul for that, and gets the win. I picked Styles, but I don't mind Logan Paul winning. In terms of, I know a lot of people just have disdained hatred for him. They just hate seeing Logan win and just appear. I just don't care for him as a person. Like, I just don't care, but I can't deny his talent. So he definitely belongs in a wrestling ring. I just don't care for him. Going back to Karrion Kross, the day after WrestleMania, that man cut a CM Punk pipe bomb type of promo in a Sam Roberts podcast. Oh my God. If anything, I think that you could compare this Karrion Kross promo to like the Miz's on Talking Smack. And I've always been saying this. As a character, he is so intriguing. It's just, I feel like we need to find a way to get me to look forward to Karrion Kross matches because he hasn't had a lot of them. But on the Raw After WrestleMania, he got a very good reaction backstage, and he is a Triple H guy. So I'm hoping that this could be the start of something good for Karrion Kross. But like I said, Logan, AJ Styles, it was fine. It was fine at best. Not bad, but it was just fine. But nothing memorable. Nothing you're going to look back fondly on. Well, we got another injury, but this time it was kayfabe related, and poor Bayley was attacked backstage, and that really sucks that she missed WrestleMania. I understand this woman's tag title is just getting thrown around with people that need to be in the Mania card, but the fact that she wasn't there really disappointed me because last year she had a great story with EO and won the title. So it's kind of weird that she's not on the card, but they made up for it because Lyra's mystery partner was Becky Lynch. I think the moment that happened, we kind of anticipated it would be Becky, and she came back. It was a decent match. Becky and Lyra winning the tag titles was a shocking moment. But then the Raw after WrestleMania, they lost them. And Liv and Raquel got them right back. And Becky turned on Lyra, and she is a heel, which I think is a smart move because the man Becky as a babyface just kind of isn't there anymore. I feel like her as a heel is a lot more intriguing. I will say I am very happy that the women's IC title scene finally has a storyline and like a legitimate opponent for Lyra to sink her teeth and get a feud. I feel like now we can elevate that title. The Raw after WrestleMania rematch was much better than their WrestleMania match because they got more time and the crowd was more into it. I hate that Chelsea Green couldn't get in WrestleMania. What the heck was WWE thinking leaving her off the show? Even at least having her have some backstage stuff to do or host WrestleMania. The fact that she had nothing, I am not a fan of that at all because she has been killing it the past year. And I really hope by this time next year that'll change. Well, before we get to the main event, we got to talk about how Stone Cold almost killed someone because he appeared and announced the attendance. But the moment that's talked about is when he was going around the ring. He accidentally ran over the barricade and ran over this girl. I don't want to be so judgmental about looking, but when I watched this, it looked like she flopped. It looked like she just fell. It didn't really look like she was hurt from what I saw, but I mean, it got to the point where Nick Khan had to come and help her out and everything, and Stone Cold checked on her if she was okay. So a little bit of an awkward moment there. I think on WWE tickets, I'm pretty sure it says that WWE is not responsible for if something happens to you. That's what you get when you sit in the front row. So I don't think she can sue them. Yeah, just a weird moment and kind of a weird place for Stone Cold to show up here at this point of WrestleMania just to announce attendance. I would have rather maybe seen him interfere in the main event match, but it's always good to see Stone Cold at WrestleMania. I hope that girl's okay, but I also think she's a flopper. But in our main event of WrestleMania, heel John Cena in his final WrestleMania match goes for number 17 against Cody Rhodes. I love John Cena's entrance. One of my favorites of the weekend, which it was ironically a special entrance, but it wasn't at the same time because it was all black. It had like the sans serif Microsoft Word type of font in white. Just says John Cena. There was kind of like a crew member that kind of interfered with Cena when he came out. I don't know if that was by design. I bet he got yelled at and then some in the back if that wasn't supposed to happen. But I love that entrance and just Cena wearing black, just an evil John Cena with the spotlight on him. Cody's entrance, I liked it more than a lot of people did. I like it. I mean, it represents Vegas with the motorbikes, but it was a little bit awkward when they all lined up together and just stood there for Cody's entrance. I feel like we could have just done the cool parkour tricks and then that's it, and then just have Cody come out. I love the mask that Cody had. It was kind of like an automated type of way that the mask revealed Cody. I think that was pretty cool in itself. Cody's got obsessions with masks when it comes to big pay-per-views for some reason. But I think it was a good entrance, but I don't think it was anywhere near the level of last year's entrance. And the bikes just sitting there vrooming as Cody came out was a little bit weird for me. But anyway, to the match itself, it was pretty slow. And I felt like there was a weird dynamic to this because I don't understand why a 47-year-old John Cena, a man who lost to Solo Sikoa and Austin Theory in recent years, is dominating the face of the company and the undisputed champion. But the crowd, Vegas was brutal to Cody throughout this weekend. He won them back on the SmackDown before, but he could not win them back during the match because it was pretty much 90% Cena. And everything Cody was doing was getting booed and Cena was getting cheered. And I understand the possibility of a John Cena, especially a heel John Cena winning the 17th world title. No one is going to cheer for someone to not let that happen. But at the expense of Cody, like these Vegas fans seemed really fickle throughout the weekend because Cody, I think, has been booked great. I feel like he's been treated great. I feel like his promos have been great leading up to this match. I just feel like the Vegas crowd is a little bit weird. I understand maybe heel Cena's a little more exciting than Cody, but the fact that literally almost no one supported Cody in the Vegas crowd was a little bit weird. I'm hoping that's just a one-off. I'm not going to crap on it too much like a lot of people are when the crowd is into it. It's into it in a weird way. It's kind of Rock Hogan WrestleMania 18 type of crowd, but they were invested in it. Some people are into slow plotting main event type matches. Some aren't. I'm a sucker for those type of matches, but I know it's not everyone's cup of tea. And I know there were a lot of moments where Cena was openly calling out spots and it kind of looked a little weird. But my thing is John Cena's been doing that for years. I'm not too mad about that. That's just how Cena is. It's weird, yes, but it didn't really take too much out of me. And I enjoyed this match up to a certain point than a lot of people did. I know it was slow and plotting, but I feel like it told a decent story, even though I was a little bit confused by Cena dominating, but the crowd was into it. Some of the near falls were cool to see. But then Travis Scott came out, and I think that's when the match took a big turn when he came out. At first, he got a pop because along with the fans, I assumed that The Rock's theme was going to hit and Travis and The Rock were going to be together. The moment you realize that wasn't happening and it was just going to be Travis Scott there, the fans looked really disappointed. And I was too. And I was wondering what was going on. And he played a key factor into this. He pulled the ref out, got in the ring, got crossroads by Cody. He didn't even get a receipt. He didn't even get a slap. He just got crossroads. He sold it well. I'll give him props for that. This I really hated. And that's when Cena was begging Cody to not hit him with the title and begging him off. Cody doesn't want to do it because he's the good guy. And I know they told that story on SmackDown, but Cena low blowed him and Cody fell for it. And I just think that made Cody look so stupid. And Cody should not be looking this dumb. This is the face of the company. This is a man who wasn't afraid to get violent against a guy with a bad neck and Kevin Owens at the Royal Rumble. And this is a man who, after he beat Styles in the last man standing match, hit him with a steel chair. And you're telling me with the ref down, you don't want to hit a guy who low blowed you in the nuts and made you bleed and choked you out at the Chamber just because you traveled the road with him for a couple years? What the hell was that? I feel like that made Cody look like Surfer Sting when Ric Flair turned on him a million times. I just think that made him look so dumb, and that's how he lost. It took Cena forever to make the cover and the ref to come in, and I thought for sure Cody was kicking out, but no, that was it. And I feel like that was an awkward moment to end the match because I feel like you could have had a little bit more because the match wasn't even that long per WrestleMania main event standards. I think the moment of Cena winning 17 was tremendous. I think it was a cool moment to see a heel Cena winning 17. How we got to there, though, was very underwhelming. From the Travis Scott moment to the finish, I feel like was executed very poorly and just an underwhelming way for Cena to get 17 and an underwhelming way to get Cody's reign to end. I feel like both of them deserve so much better. And guess what? I got one man to blame for all of this, and that is Dwayne Johnson, The Rock. He went on the Pat McAfee show earlier this week and explained why he missed WrestleMania, and I think this statement makes no fucking sense. The Endeavor owner apparently was worried because the Chamber tickets were not selling well and he wanted The Rock there. Well, why does he think that The Rock being there is the only solution? I don't know. Maybe lower your fucking ticket prices because they're ridiculous. After what Rock did with the Cena heel turn, he thought he wasn't needed anymore. He called Cena and Cody and said, the final boss is out. He doesn't need to be involved in this. Go kill it out there. Why? Rock apparently wanted to make the moment about Cena. Okay, then why the hell was Travis Scott out there in the first place? If you wanted this moment to be about Cena, Travis Scott shouldn't be there. If Travis Scott's going to be there, The Rock needs to be there. That's the bottom line. Hearing that The Rock apparently didn't know that Scott was going to be there kind of threw Triple H under the bus, which I think wasn't fair to do, saying he was shocked and he would have done it in a different way. Yeah, buddy, maybe you showing up would have been the different way. Why did The Rock feel like he didn't need to be involved in this? You were the main catalyst of Cena turning heel. You literally slashed the throat and made it look like you started a new stable with Cena. Why in the hell do you think, oh, I can go away and I don't need to be involved in the WrestleMania match? That makes no sense. It made all the sense in the world for Rock to be there. And apparently it's because he has like things to do. Then don't be at the Chamber. If you're too busy doing your Scorsese movie, then tell Ari Emanuel that, sorry, no, because I have commitments. I really feel like it just dampened and made the main event underwhelming with the lack of The Rock. And with this new movie that he's filming with Scorsese, we're probably not going to see him for a long time. Looking back at it now, I feel like you should have maybe waited to turn Cena heel until the match at WrestleMania. I feel like that would have been better to do. I feel like it would have been a better moment with Cena low blowing and hitting Cody with the belt if that was the first time he turned heel. Or you just have Cena low blow Cody alone and The Rock and Travis Scott aren't a part of this. I feel like that would have fixed so much. But instead, you had us expecting The Rock to be there and possibly Stone Cold. Maybe Seth and Heyman. I was saying that. None of that happened. Instead, Cody got dethroned because of a rapper who's not a wrestler, and he's not even a character. The fact that The Rock thinks he can just show up to the Elimination Chamber, do this angle, and then just dip like that because I got to go film a movie? What the fuck, dude? I feel like that's just disgraceful. I feel like that's dumb. You kind of ruin the WrestleMania main event because of that. His ego sometimes can be just too much, and I feel like he needs to read the room and understand that he needed to be there. That was the bottom line. Rock needed to be at WrestleMania. If you swap Travis Scott with The Rock, it's a much better moment than what we got. And I know a lot of people want to make the argument, well, this just ties into the I'm going to ruin wrestling, you get nothing. Now, I can maybe see that for the finish. I can maybe justify that with the underwhelming way Cena won in terms of a you get nothing. Maybe it was supposed to be kind of a weird ending. But I don't think Cena meant I'm going to go out there and have an WrestleMania main event match and a crappy ending. I don't think he meant that at all. I think his version of ruin wrestling was, I'm going to take the title from Cody and retire with it. That's what he meant. And You Get Nothing was more about Cena's character and the fact that it didn't change and he had no music or anything like that. The fact that this main event was so underwhelming, that people were trying to convince themselves that it was all part of the plan, it was supposed to be like this. I can believe it for the finish, but anything else in that match, BS. There's no way it was supposed to be part of the plan. I feel bad for Cody. This poor man just wants to have an amazing WrestleMania main event, and The Rock's going to come in every year and fuck up his plans. I don't understand it. Like, can The Rock just stay away from Cody? Like, if anything with The Rock, I just want him and Roman to feud. And we still haven't gotten that yet. I don't know if we're ever going to get that. I don't know if we're ever going to get The Rock to wrestle again. But I feel like The Rock not being there just made Cena's win so underwhelming. And I just think he completely misread the room. And I feel like there's tension between board members and the creative writing team in WWE that we just don't know about. I'm a little bit worried that this is going to be the trend of WrestleMania every year until The Rock finally decides to be done with stories. That he's just going to try to fuck everything up and try to make WrestleMania intriguing and then just dip and hope that the superstars could carry the slack for his absence. This is like Thanos not showing up for Endgame after what he did at the end of the Infinity War. Imagine if that would have been the case, if Thanos just isn't there because, he was too busy to go fight in the battle. Sorry, guys, you're on your own. It's just a very underwhelming main event to a pretty good night 2 overall. But if I were to give WrestleMania 41 a full analysis and grade, I would probably give it a B- overall in terms of a grade. It definitely was a downgrade from last year. It was definitely a lot more underwhelming, which I think was kind of the theme for the build for this year's WrestleMania. I feel like it wasn't as strong as last year's, but I also think last year's was such an all-timer, it's hard to live up to that. But definitely a downgrade, but still not a bad WrestleMania. I think people are thinking the Cena-Cody thing just makes WrestleMania itself horrible. Do not listen to those people. I still think WrestleMania 41 was a good show, just not a great show. But I feel like the Raw After WrestleMania was great. You should check that out. And I still think the future for WWE is bright. Thank you guys for watching this. Like I said, I'm going to try to have a full podcast with Matthew Warmis next week and possibly get Troy in there to get all of our thoughts on WrestleMania. For Dylan Shields here, have a great week. Hope WrestleMania was fun for y'all.